the level. More than 90% of the raw materials they use to produce the finished products that we have in our homes, your Milos, your Blue Band margarine, your Nescafe, all of those things, they require agricultural raw materials. So it only depends on what part of that agricultural value chain you want to play for you to derive value. So at the end of the day, agriculture is still a business. It's not necessarily about, having a hoe and a cutlass. It's about trying to draw value from wherever you want to participate in the chain. And that is what Olam is really about. So Olam International, one of the largest agro supply chain management companies in the world, is actually a business that just happens to be in the agricultural sector, having to deal with farmers in certain value chains, and then in other aspects being in the midstream section of maybe production or processing, and then downstream section of marketing, sales, distribution to the consumers. So from fork to plate. So it depends on what value chain, but essentially it's running a business. And I felt, that was one of the best opportunities I had to see how a business was run from scratch. Because in Olam, when you think about the value system, when you think about what makes the company what it is today, you have value systems like mutual respect and teamwork, entrepreneurship, ownership. Things like that where what they valued there. So you can be in a business unit, but essentially it's like you run that business, do what it takes, but make money, draw value for the company. So essentially that was how I delved into that particular field within the agricultural sector. And then subsequently this appointment with Lagos State and Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu, our amiable governor, saw it fit that the Ministry of Agriculture would be good for me. And honestly speaking, I've had a blast and I'm still having a blast in that sector. So that is my foray from architecture, construction to agriculture.
Okay, thank you very much. And we thank our very, very hardworking and progressive governor for what he has done and for seeing opportunities in young people and for ensuring that he harnesses the opportunity in building a better Lagos. It's an opportunity to say thank you to the governor. Yes. So now that you told us the backstory, you sound very, very passionate about business and business management. Now that you have channeled your wisdom and the wealth of understanding into agriculture part of business management, can you tell us some of your experiences in working with agriculture in Lagos State?
Okay, so my experience working in the agricultural sector, I think, honestly speaking, we need to give kudos to people working in the public sector. Coming from the private sector, you always have this assumption, that, public sector, they are not as knowledgeable. Private sector, we have our way of doing stuff, very fast, very efficient, this and that. And then you come in with that mindset that, these people, I'm smarter, I'm this, I'm that. But trust me, it is a completely different ball game. What it takes to run in the public sector or work in that space, it's far more engaging, because you're meeting stakeholders from all walks of life with all sorts of problems. As you're solving one or trying to solve one, another is coming up simultaneously. So it's it's an experience that I will not trade for anything in the world. Yes, it could be very stressful, it could be very tasking and demanding, but it is an experience that I would not trade for anything. So being in the public sector space now, in agriculture sector for the past 10 months, I would say that I have encountered all sorts of proposals. I have seen all sorts of solutions to problems that we have in the field. I have tried to also see the kind of value to be drawn from such proposals. We've been to farm sites, settlements, project facilities. We've been to a lot of places, and it's amazing to see also the kind of investment that the government itself has put into the space to try to act as a catalyst for private sector involvement and investment. So it's been a wonderful experience overall. That's the truth. So if I use, let's say, the example of the Imota rice mill, I apologize. It may seem like I'm always flogging Imota rice mill at every opportunity, but I think that, I mean, it's one of the biggest projects we have in the state, the largest rice mill, the largest rice mill in Nigeria once it's completed. And I think it should be one of the largest in the world, 32 metric tons per hour. For the state government to deem it fit to, you know, put up such a facility, to invest that much, I mean, it's not something you would ordinarily experience even in the private sector. Ajide Olushola Sonlu to even deem it fit to say, you know what, we want to complete this project, we want to commission it this year, we want the Ministry of Agriculture to, you know, just drive it totally. I think it's highly commendable, and you won't find such opportunities in the private sector, even when you look for it as much as you want. And that's just one aspect of it. I mean, we have other laudable projects that we are working on, others we are trying to work on. But I can assure you that in this space of 4 years, this tenure of the governor, I believe that Lagosians will be seeing a lot of changes and transformations in the agri space.
Wow, thank you so much. Yes. I also heard that Imota is the 4th largest in the world.
Yeah, it would be the 4th largest. Yes, 32 metric tons per hour. Yes, it will be the 4th largest in the world. Yes.
That's something to look forward to.
Yes, and mind you, it is state-of-the-art technology. So the equipment manufacturer, the mill lines itself, it's actually new technology. So what you have currently in the country, the mortar rice mill equipment should actually be way over what you have available right now.
Wow. So mortar rice farm is like the future of farming.
Well, so Imota rice mill, it is not actually a farm, it's actually a processing facility. So like I said, in the agricultural sector or the chain, you have the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream sector. So processing is actually midstream. So paddy aggregation, the farming, I mean, that's the upstream part. So the midstream is where the Imota rice mill is. Production upstream. So at the end of the day, it's all intertwined anyway. So that's what you have for Imota. And then we'll still consider backward integration anyway. So it's still the same.
Okay. What's backward integration?
Okay. So talking to an architect. So backward integration means, okay, so like I said, in any chain, you have upstream, which is where you have your inputs like your seedlings, your research and your research and development, R&D, and all of those things. You plant or you go into production. That's upstream. Then part of upstream is where you now have some sort of aggregation happening. So that's where you can have paddy. That's where you can have some agents. So in this case for rice, we'll have paddy aggregators. Then the paddy aggregators gather all the paddy and then via logistics bring it to a processing facility. Then at the processing facility, that is where the midstream part of it starts from, where you process, you mill the rice, you sortex, and you dry and all of those things. Then backward integration means if I don't have a farm to grow paddy, and I have only the processing facility, but I want to start growing my own paddy, then I would backward integrate, meaning it's like working back in reverse. I will set up my own farm, get outgrower farmers as well, so I can have my farmers grow my paddy, then I can also buy paddy from other rice farmers. So that's actually what backward integration is all about.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
So it's just going
Not
back one step in the chain. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you very
Yes.
much. I'm sure that was
You're
enough
welcome.
information for the likes of myself who don't speak agriculture, and I'm happy for this opportunity because what I understand is that okay, with the whole COVID experience and the pandemic and what happened, it made everyone begin to realize that as much as some professions are very important, you can't do without some, especially food. Food is very, very important. It's very, very important. If the world, I don't know if the world can stop, but if the world decides to stop, people will continue to eat.
Very true.
Food production has to continue.
Yes,
and
definitely.
That takes me to another question.
Okay.
Over half of Nigeria's population is estimated to be youth, especially Lagos. And very few, I mean, sadly enough, only a few see a future in this sector. And you know, most people think it's for, like you explained, it's for you have to have a whole class. If I don't have so much money, I can't do agriculture. Can you break it down to understanding the bulk of Nigeria food is produced by aging farmers or people who have been in agriculture for a long time, or imported farmers in quotes. So how can we make this sector more appealing to young people?
Okay, so I think that is actually one of the that would actually be something to be done both by the private sector and the government. So I will speak from the government angle. To make agriculture attractive, I mean, it's not just about, you know, making it look fancy. It's about making the youth see the value that can be drawn out of agriculture. So if I take, for example, the entertainment industry, I can bet you that there was a time in the past, if I say entertainment, it encompasses the likes of football, basketball, music, acting. You know, there was a time when, as a child, if you told your parents, I want to be a footballer, or I want to be an actor, I want to be a musician, you'll be flogged. Because it's are you serious? When you could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you know? And, you know, they didn't take it seriously, like, no, that is not a good field to be in. But look at the drastic changes that have happened. In today's generation, everyone wants to try. Even those that can't sing, they don't mind using auto-tune just to sound good, but to be out there, to market themselves well and make money. So until we can make the youth see that there's a lot of value in this, that's the only way we can make it attractive. And part of that value is also giving the opportunity to see that a lot of technology can be used in the agricultural space. You know, like I said, a lot of us, when we talk of agriculture, we imagine a hoe and a cutlass, and we think this is back-breaking work. I mean, before you even go into production, it takes time for you to now harvest, to now, you know, market and make money. But when you can let the youth see that, see, there's a lot of potential. The traditional way of production should be phased out. Actually, you are talking of, in today's world, you are talking of genetically modified foods. You are talking of technology where you can do vertical farming. Now, you don't have to have a large expanse of land to, say, grow crops. You can do vertical farming. So on a 1 hectare farmland, if you grow upwards as opposed to horizontally, you can still get the same yields, but you have used less land, meaning less cost, and yet you are making more money. You can also do so much in terms of, let's say, animal production, husbandry. There's a lot of DNA swapping. There's a lot of research going on in the agricultural space that I think we here in Nigeria, we don't have the opportunity, and we have not seen a massive scale up in terms of making it visible for people to see what is obtainable in this field. So if you look at, let's say, climes like Singapore, you look at what is happening in India, you look at the US. These are economies that are dependent, well, except maybe Singapore, but if you talk about India, if you talk about the US, a large percentage of their GDP is actually agricultural based. And if you look at even the Netherlands, making over $90 billion last year alone. You know, so it's actually huge. And unless we begin to make it look very attractive to the youth, that is the only way we can have youth inclusion and youth you know, when you're attracted to something, you know, that's when we can begin to have that. So that onus lies on the government to create that enabling environment, to create the opportunity for the youth to see. And once the government is able to do that, we'll definitely also draw in investors from other climes, even within Nigeria here, that would want to partner with the government to also show the youth the possibilities that are obtainable in the field. So I think a lot of work needs to be done, both by the federal government and the state government, even up to local government level, because at the end of the day, getting the youth involved in agriculture is actually the right step to take. Agriculture is that one sector. Yeah, agriculture is that one sector that can mop up unemployment on a large scale. Other sectors can't do what agriculture can do in terms of employment. And with what we are seeing in terms of, let's say, an economic meltdown or a crunch, you know, all of these things that have happened basis the COVID-19 pandemic, it's time we sit up as a government, federal, state, local, to try to make the sector as attractive as possible, to avoid having that kind of economic situation in our hands in months to come and in years to come.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. That's a lot of information. And let me just share an experience that a friend had, and then I'll get to the next question. And so a couple of friends said an organization came to them. They all work in the same company. They're in the same organization. And so an agri, I think, I'm not sure if it's an agri organization or an agri company now, but an organization came to their own institution to say, okay, you guys invest in agriculture, would put your money together, help you get more money from the government, promises. And so people came together, 100,000, 200,000, put it together, gave it to this organization to put together to get them more money from the government to get like an approval for more agricultural funding because they had some money. And eventually the story is, long story short, is they lost the money. And so they were discouraged. These are young people who were interested in going into agriculture. And so we were having that conversation, and I was trying to talk about the advantages of going into agriculture and some of the things I see as a disadvantage, like somebody who doesn't have a major in managing a farm, trying to do that because he's seen his dad do it. I don't think it will work. And so they just explained to me how they got discouraged because they are trying to put money into agriculture and do large-scale agriculture as a group of people, and they were sort of swindled. So in the case where, and this is like a group of 20, 30 young men, in cases like that, how do you address that kind of situation? What are the best ways for people to get funding, for people to get support from the government to do agriculture?
Okay, so I mean, you know, as you mentioned the case of those that were swindled, I smiled because I don't see any difference between what happened to them and a multi-layered marketing scheme or a pyramid scheme. It just happened to be that this was labeled under the word agriculture. Yeah. So let's assume, don't even put a sector to it now. Just, make it as like a plain canvas. And someone comes to you with a proposal and says, oh, give me your money and I will double it for you. or give me your money, and in the next 3 months, your yield will be this percentage over the capital that you have given to me. And you hand it over and you say, oh, I was so interested in agriculture, that's why I handed the money. You see, that is what I tried to say from the very beginning. It is still a business regardless. If you wanted to be, let's say, a furniture maker, or you were interested in the wood industry and you want to like go into a furniture making venture, someone will come to you and say, oh, give me your money and I'll double it for you. That it doesn't make any business sense. You are not actually interested in agriculture if you were willing to hand over your money because someone else said I'll get funding and they will make this amount of money. Any venture in this world takes training, or it requires training, it requires patience, it requires even studying other ventures in the same sector to see how they make their money. You do your case studies, you do your research. If I were to go into, let's say, pig farming, look for the best pig farms. Go there, try to understand, even if you have to spend a week or a month to try to understand the dynamics of running a pig farm. And then you can make your own judgment to say, you know what, if I put in this amount of money, this is what I can make in return. Not to hand over your money to someone who promises to get you additional funding from the federal government or state government, swindles you, and then automatically you blame the agricultural sector and say, I was interested in agriculture, but because I was swindled, I am not interested in it again. Essentially, you are not interested in business, or you are not interested in making money, or you are not interested in securing your money in the first place. Going into business does not mean you should overlook the risks involved. Every business venture has risks involved, but it now is up to you to determine how much risk you are willing to take. And your risk expands with less knowledge available. And what do I mean by creating that enabling environment? It is increasing that ease of doing business index. And what do I mean by that? It is putting out as much information as possible to enable anyone make an informed decision to a certain extent.
Yes.
Exactly, to help you make an informed decision to a certain extent, to kind of give you an overview of what pertains in an industry, and then you can take up the rest of the research required from there. So what do I mean by that? It's putting out information regarding land acquisition. Let's say you're interested in vegetable farming. Okay, how do I acquire land to even start vegetable farming? The onus is on the government to be able to map out, show the entire Lagos state map, for instance, to say these are the areas where we have agricultural lands, or these are agricultural zones, and we have apportioned each zone for a specific crop or for a specific livestock production. Then it's now up to the state government to also say, so if you want to acquire land as an individual, this is the maximum you can acquire, or this is the maximum you can lease from the government. And then we put what is required of you as a person up there for you to know that, okay, you need to fulfill certain criteria for you to qualify for a land lease with Lagos State. That is one aspect of it. Another aspect could be, okay, you want to go into crop farming, like we said, so maybe specifically cabbage production. It's up to us to also give you an overview to the kind of funding you can get, or that is made available, let's say from the federal government level. So it could be the Anchor Borrowers Program, it could be the AADS program, it could be the Commercial Agri-Credit Scheme by the CBN. I mean, there are so many funding interventions available. So it's just for us to also be able to put it out there such that you can make an informed decision as to the kind of funding you would like to go for. And then the criteria for that is also put up. Then if it is that you also need to join a cooperative to be able to access some of those funding, it is also on us to put out all the cooperatives or farmer groups we have in Lagos State, to say these are the groups, these are the locations, or this is what they cover, and then this is what it takes for you to be a part of that cooperative. And then also for us as a state to say, see, this is the agricultural investment climate we have. These are the projects we want to embark on. As a private sector person or entity, if you would like to partner with us, these are the opportunities available. These are the rates of return on investment available, and stuff like that, such that even if you are in the diaspora, you are abroad, you can just click, see a broad overview of what the entire agricultural climb in Lagos State is all about. And then you can make a decision to a certain extent to say, you know what, this is enough information for me to take a plunge into this sector. And then you make it easier for yourself. So I think essentially that's what we need to do as a government, which we are already working on. And I can assure you that these are some of the laudable initiatives that Mr. Babajide Olushola Sanwo-Olu has also promised to deliver to Lagosians. We need to make information as available as possible. This murkiness around making information available is actually what is killing us a bit in terms of our economic upwardness. So I believe we are trying to overcome all of these things. So I feel the first step is make the information available, make it as detailed as possible for people to make an informed decision. And then in terms of trying to close all the gaps between, let's say, agencies. So let's say I want to get into production, and then I start production, but I want to export. Now, what are the requirements that I will have to fulfill to be able to export my products? I will have to go to Standards Organizations of Nigeria. I'll have to go to NAFDAC. I'll have to go to this agency, that agency. The onus is also on the government to be able to bring these agencies together under some kind of, let's say, board, in terms of, let's say we have a processing facility and we make available spaces for all these agencies to also be there, such that if you produce, they can certify your product in one shot. So you don't have to go from one leg to the other, and then the entire process is cumbersome. So the onus is on us to make life as easy as possible for those that want to be in this sector, and not just even in the agricultural space, but generally every sector across board, manufacturing, automobile industry, anything. Okay, so the information I put out now is actually something we are working on as I speak to you, because I realize that as a person, as a business person, I would want such information. And I believe every Lagosian deserves to have such information to be able to make good decisions, or, have information that can help. So that's actually something we are working on at the moment to
that we know that in the near future we'll be able to click on a website or go to one office and get that information, maybe get it in a pamphlet, like the way they have the laws and legislations in Nigeria written in the pamphlet, something like that. I mean, it would be
so the thing is this. The thing is this. So, when you say, maybe, can you hear me? So when you make reference to, let's say, maybe in a pamphlet, I am totally against that. And the reason is this. Look at what has happened with the COVID-19 pandemic. Making a pamphlet means you have a limited visibility, in the sense that you can only print so many copies, and those copies can only reach a certain number of people. That's why the web is there. The web is not distance or geographically, it's not geographically limited. It can reach anyone anywhere. So it's just a function of, see, if you're serious enough to want to be in the sector, just go online and look for the information. And I mean, you have it at your fingertip. You can bookmark pages, you can bookmark sites, and then you can always refer back to them. Because we also have to be tech compliant, we have to be tech forward. We can't keep going back to the pamphlet system, you know. So
yes. I quite agree with you, but I was also considering the people that are not tech compliant yet. There are quite a number of them, and that was
more forward thinking now and try to you know, like that. And sometimes all those things are also not eco-friendly. You just need to, you know, do things in a smarter way and in an eco-friendly manner. So part of what we are also trying to do is at least to key into the gender equality, you know, all of those things. And part of it also in terms of the climate change action is to be as environmentally sustainable as possible. So, but we'll see how
sustainable agriculture.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank
you. Hello, Felicia, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Yeah, you said something about agriculture. I didn't catch that.
I said sustainable agriculture.
Yeah, sustainable agriculture, exactly. And sustainable use of our resources as well.
Okay, let me quickly read it. Somebody said, Okuta Chukuma said, awesome. There are also quite a lot of tax incentives and for agri-businesses, and quite a lot of funds initiated by Lagos State and directed at Agric. I think you guys are doing a great job. I mean, so basically just clap for your department. And so I thought you should, just so you don't miss that some of the people watching you actually understand and they see what you're doing. And we know that you're going to do greater work. I'm tempted to say
Felicia, unfortunately, I didn't catch that. The line is not clear.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I didn't catch what you just read now.
Okay, I said
yes, it's better now.
Okay, I said Oputa Chukuma said, awesome. There are also quite a lot of tax incentives for agri-businesses and quite a lot of funds initiated by Lagos State and directed. Just something about land when you were talking just a while ago, and I want to ask the question: how can people in Lagos State leverage agricultural opportunities that the state brings when land acquisition is a challenge? Now, it's not fund that is a challenge; it's getting land that is a challenge in Lagos State. Hello, did you get that?
Felicia, you have to repeat the question again.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I said the question is how can people in Lagos State? Okay.
Can you repeat?
Can I go over it again?
Repeat it
now. Yes, I can. Okay. How can people in Lagos State leverage agricultural opportunities of the state?
Yes, when please go over the question again.
Is a challenge. Okay. Is that a network problem?
Yes.
Should I go over it again? All right.
Yes, please go over it again.
How can people? Okay. All right, ma'am. How can people in Lagos State leverage agricultural opportunities of the state when land acquisition in Lagos is a challenge?
I still didn't get that. What I just heard was how can people in Lagos, what I just heard was how can people in Lagos leverage on, that's the only part I heard.
Okay, leverage on agricultural opportunities of the state.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
So
when
how can
land
people
acquisition
leverage
is a
on
challenge.
agricultural opportunities in Lagos?
Yes,
Okay, when land is what?
acquisition is a challenge. It's a challenge. Getting a land is a challenge.
When getting land is an issue, is that the question?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, so see, let's be factual here. Lagos is one of the smallest states in Nigeria, 3,577 square kilometers of land, surrounded to a large area and sub-Saharan Africa, with over 24 million people, and with more coming in droves every day. So the small being continuously degraded for, say, building purposes, squatter settlements, what have you. So it means whatever agric lands we even have for food production, it's diminishing by the day, because we have to also going to be an issue to think proactively and creatively in how we can still maximize food production. What this means is the question shouldn't be how much land can I get for production. Rather, it should be how can I imbibe technology in what I do in agriculture to increase my yield, so I can have some great technology out there. So the question shouldn't be land. It should be even with the smallest portion of, also has the same characteristics to a large extent as Lagos. But Singapore invests so much in urban farming. What does that mean? It means even under the bridges, there's a farm there. It could be a vegetable patch. It could be whatever it is. It could be an aquaculture center. But every possible space, even in the urban environment, is being utilized for agricultural purposes. So as opposed to whereby here, every little space we have, we turn them to market spaces. We need to also start to consider that those unused portions of land within our environs, we need to start utilizing them for agriculture. And to think proactively and creatively, like I said, in using technology to rather look at yield increase as opposed to land size expansion. So in the Ministry of Agriculture, Lagos State, yes, we have agric lands, we have agric zones. For anyone to want to acquire those lands, anyone can go to the Agric Lands Holding Authority. You can make you can put in an application for agric lands. You have to show us that you have proof of concept with regards to what you want to do with that land. We give you a timeline under which you must put that land to agricultural use, or less the lease will be revoked. So what we have seen in the past is people coming for application, asking for agric lands, leasing it to them, and then you want to convert agric lands to construction sites, hoping the government forgets about it. So I think what we've seen is also that we as a people, we need to start becoming as transparent as possible in our dealings, even with government. And that would help everyone eventually to be able to see that, see, we need to be food secure. We need to go into massive food production overdrive. And then everyone will be okay.
Okay. We have a question. Someone, Olufemi says, I want to go into piggery farming. Where can I leverage on Lagos State, especially sourcing the best quality of piglets? Is there a place one can source this type of information? Sorry, please. Kindly use the question icon right beside the comment icon to send in your questions so we don't miss them. Thank you very much. Can you answer that question, ma'am?
Okay, so someone wants to go into pig production. So we have the Berigbe Pig Farm, which is located in Ikorodu. That is a cluster of pig farmers, and I believe that they are doing very well there. If you want to learn more, I would suggest you go there to try to learn production methods. If it is that you need, let's say, piglets for rearing, for you to have enough sows and other pigs to be able to fatten them and then put them up for sale, the Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Agri Services, which is in charge of livestock production, would be of immense help. We also have the Lagos Agric Development Authority, which is in charge of extension officers who would help you, who would educate you, who would support you in your farming practice. So we have a lot of resources at our disposal, which we are ready to help anyone interested in the sector to be able to at least, have an easier time around it.
Okay. Do we have to pay for this information? Like,
no,
when I go to the ministry, do I have to pay for that information?
No, you don't pay for that information.
Okay.
You don't pay for that information, please.
Okay. And just so people will know, it costs you nothing. Just get yourself to the Ministry of Agriculture and meet the right personnel. Ask the right question so that you're directed in the right direction. So
like I said,
thank you very much,
so like I said, yes. Okay. So let me quickly say something. So, as opposed to saying, oh, so you can come to the Ministry of Agriculture.
Okay. 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 Okay, thank you very much. And I believe that also part of this initiative is putting up some. Yeah, I have some other questions. Okay. Yes, I have some other questions. I have tons of questions, but I know we might not be able to take all the questions now, but we'll try as much as possible to answer these questions. What I was saying is I also know that part of what would be going on would be putting in some regulations into agriculture, like to regulate the whole business of agriculture, like to give it standards like they have in the building construction industry. They have standards and regulations. I would imagine that those kind of things also apply in agriculture. How do people know these things so that they don't go wrong, so that they do? Is there like an authority that manages or regulates the agri business?
Okay, so I'm reading a comment saying people can't hear me, so I hope people can hear me now. So in terms of having a regulatory authority in the agri space to say, you regulate, you monitor, yes, we have, but you should also remember that agriculture is value chain inclined. So what pertains to one particular value chain may not necessarily be required in another. So if you talk about, let's say, livestock production, the kind of regulation that would be required would be different from someone in crop production. So you cannot have a one-size-fits-all type of regulation in that space, because so for, let's say, animal husbandry, which is livestock production, you have the regulatory authority, you have the vet services department, which is in charge of ensuring that animals are checked, animals are certified before slaughter. Also, in terms of how the carcass is being disposed of or sold off, there are rules and regulations around that for sanitary reasons and for hygienic reasons. So we have an enforcement team, a monitoring, enforcement, and compliance team, MEC, from the Department of Vet Services in the Ministry of Agriculture that does this. And we have a task force in conjunction to ensure that all our abattoirs, our meat markets, there's regular enforcement. Now, one might say, oh, but that is not the case. The truth is, at the same time, we are seeing a rise in the illegal slaughter slabs or illegal abattoirs. As you try to shut down one, you see people in some other locality that are maybe out of reach, springing up others. So what that means is continuous enforcement, continuous regulation is required in that field. When you come to crop production essentially, you have extension officers going into farms, checking to ensure that best farming practices are imbibed and used for growing some of these things. But in terms of the actual regulation around the farming, what we can just do is to ensure that in terms of environmental degradation, waste disposal, all those things are done in an environmentally friendly manner. Where the regulation also now comes in is in the finished product. If you are bringing to market as a processed item, so which is you need to ascertain the quality of your product, whether it is fit for consumption or not. So along the agri space or in the agri sector, you